We have a lot of good information that we are going to learn as we study the book of Esther. What we're going to learn in today's lesson is about Esther's modesty and how we can strive to be modest like Esther. The first thing that we learn about Esther is that she was a very beautiful woman. Let us take a look in our Bibles at Esther chapter 2, verse 7, and we'll read about how beautiful Esther was. That's Esther 2, verse 7, and it reads, He was the guardian of Hadassah, that is, Esther, the daughter of his father's brother, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was beautifully formed and attractive in appearance, and at the death of her father and her mother, Mordecai took her as his daughter. The second stanza of verse 7 tells us that Esther was beautifully formed and attractive in appearance. Both her father and her mother died, so her cousin Mordecai adopted her and raised her as his own daughter. Esther was an orphan because both her parents died, and upon being raised by her cousin Mordecai, she came to be beautiful in appearance and received a lot of praise. She definitely got the praise of King Ahasuerus because of her beauty. King Ahasuerus, upon seeing Esther, admired her to the point where he selected her as a candidate to become queen. Let us read Esther 2:9, and we will see how the king felt about Esther. That's Esther 2:9, and it reads, Now the young woman was pleasing to him and won his favor. So he promptly arranged for her beauty treatments and her diet, and he assigned to her 7 selected young women from the king's house. He also transferred her and her young attendants to the best place in the house of women. Esther 2:9 tells us that Esther was pleasing to the king, so much so that he arranged beauty treatments and he arranged her diet, and even put her in the best place of the house of women. Now, what usually happens to a person when they receive praise, or like in Esther's case, where special provisions are being made, like her being put in the best place in the house of women? In most cases, it would be a reason for a person to display an attitude of immodesty, feeling haughty or entitled, and feeling that anything given to them is deserved. But did Esther feel this way? Did she feel that she was entitled to extra? Let us read Esther 2:15 and see what Esther's attitude was. That's Esther 2:15, and it reads, And when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter to go into the king, she did not request anything except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the guardian of the women, recommended. All the while, Esther was winning the favor of everyone who saw her. As we see from the reading of this scripture, Esther did not have the attitude that she was entitled to extra, because it says here in verse 15 that she did not request anything except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the guardian of the women, recommended. She could have asked for more, but because of her modesty, she stuck to only what was recommended. But at the same time, she was winning the favor of everyone who saw her. Esther, being beautiful and being pampered for a year, Being in daily association with many young women from all over the Persian Empire who were competing for the attention of the king, never became vain or immodest. She remained respectful and composed even after King Ahasuerus selected her to be his queen. Excessive flattery or praise can test our modesty as well. Ask yourself, what do my words and actions reveal about the way I view myself? Do we display modesty in our dress and grooming? Do we comport ourselves in a decent and respectable manner? Do we try to draw undue attention to ourselves by boasting or of our accomplishments, or do we display a quiet and mild spirit? Jesus set a good example for us in displaying modesty. Many of the things Jesus quoted was from the Hebrew scriptures. He modestly spoke in a way so that his hearers would know that what he was saying was coming from Jehovah and not himself. Let us follow the examples of both Esther and Jesus when it comes down to being modest. Let us never be boastful or haughty or think too much of ourselves.